So by now, I'm sure everyone knows that they're adding tailed beasts into Shinobi Striker. And when I returned to Shinobi Striker after a while of being absent, I was curious to see which tailed beast was actually the best. So I went and I purchased all the tailed beasts from the Steam store and put them into my build to see which one has the top ranking of them all. And with that being said, I'm more excited about some rather than others. But let's go ahead and dive in. Now, in no particular order, we're going to start off with the Seven Tails. Now, this was a pretty cool beast. Now, this was a tailed beast that surprised me the most out of all of them because I didn't think that I would really like him. But he has so many advantages and buffs to his skill set of creation that it really took me by surprise. Now, one, you can get this multiple times in one match. That's something that I do love. And the second time, it comes back relatively quickly. I think because it doesn't really offer a lot of like power as far as KOing someone if you make contact with them. If they're not completely in the trajectory, then they won't die. They can, you know, still live. But the after effect is where it really comes in handy for the team. And it provides this circular wind motion around your team for a set amount of time to give them a boost in their physical attributes, right? Or physical abilities more so. And that was something that I really love. So they can jump, they can move faster or jump higher, move faster, do more damage physically and things of that sort. And for each opponent that you kill, they call it like a soothing wind that surrounds the character actually increases in duration as well. So this one is one of my top go-tos, especially for my healer when it comes down to tailed beasts. Now on to our next beast, Shikaku, the one-tailed beast. Now I like this beast, but not for any type of skill set that he possesses or anything of that sort. It's mainly because every time he pops on the scene, he comes with this belly jiggle and this very distinctive voice that separates him from the other tailed beasts. Now going to the skills, he's the beast or the tail beast for the defense class. And it's very fitting for that, right? Because he's completely protected. You take no damage while in this form. And he has these like wind bursts that he sends out, very similar to Orochimaru's move that he does as well. But there is one downside that I have to this, or at least just a negative thing that bothers me. This isn't a new creation of a tailed beast, it's just a port from the VR missions. But nonetheless, I think that it's a wonderful beast transformation that was given to the characters, and he does enough damage to either KO opponents or to severely damage them where your teammates will have a high possibility of defeating them. Now on to my favorite one, the Three Tails, at least in appearance. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. Now this one is my favorite tailed beast transformation, primarily because it's water style, which is one of my favorite elements to be able to use. And it's partnered with a turtle, right? Which is from a childhood nostalgia thing from Squirtle being my favorite Pokemon. So I really wanted to like this jutsu above all the other ones. So as far as appearance wise and element style, yes, it is my favorite. But as far as like, you know, usability and execution, this is where it fails. When this jutsu is executed, it should target everyone in the area. There should be a wider spread of damage that is going out, hitting more enemies, and you just don't get that. Too many times the jutsu is either interrupted or canceled out by someone else's jutsu, and that's something that shouldn't happen, especially given the power of a tailed beast. You would think by being covered by water and the tails that come out and spin that you would hit people in a mass area, but you just don't. Oftentimes it's mainly just for appearance, right? For presentation. So all that presentation, which is basically fluff, does is it just covers you to hide what your next move is. So when I execute the move and I'm covered by water, I'm normally dropping down some paper bombs, or I'm executing shark bomb jutsu or something like that, because they have no idea what I'm doing inside of the bubble. Now with that being said, I really wanted to like this jutsu, but I just couldn't. Now I still use it because I like the presentation, I like the fluff, but I can't really take it serious. It's all just a more aesthetic and different feel for me, not one that's really going to conquer a base battle, with this being my more dominant jutsu of the two. So my final thoughts on this jutsu would be to definitely give it a buff. It needs more kickback, it needs more stun when you're kickback. more damage, just more of a powerhouse, like when Naruto does his barrage or Rasengan barrage slam or whatever it's called, something like to that effect. Now on to my most favorite jutsu, the two-tailed beast. I love the appearance of this beast. I love the whole giant cat theme. I love the whole blue flames and this, that, and the other. I hate the fact that we really didn't get to see and experience this character in a series. We seen it like one time against Itachi and Kazame right before they basically beat her and took her back to the squad to suck her soul out and suck her powers and things of that sort. But this one is probably the 10 out of 10 jitsu for me. And the reason why I say that is because, one, when it comes down to appearance, it looks amazing, right? And when it comes down to like the hit ratio or percentage, it's very accurate, it's very good. Not only that, but like you can execute it and it doesn't just come straight down. If there's an opponent that's a little bit farther of a distance than you, not too far, but just kind of slightly, it'll actually travel to where that opponent is and fall down on them there. And I always get hits, not just one, but multiple ones, especially when I'm being like gangbang or tag team, which is a normal thing in Shinobi Striker. I think everybody can agree with that. Get off my guy. It hits everyone and clears out the room. Also, it gives you like a disappearing act where they can't find you for a matter of like a second or two, and then you just drop down with the two-tailed beast. I love this jutsu. It's not exactly like a powerhouse or whatever it is. This is why I say that they need to increase the damage in which these tailed beasts do, because they're tailed beasts, right? That has to be on the same power level as far as like Majestic Fireball or Naruto's, Karma Link attacks, things of that sort. And lastly, we have the six-tailed beast. Now I say lastly because this is the one that I'm going to speak about in detail as far as gameplay and my overall opinion about it, this, that, and the other, compared to the other ones, which is the eight tails that we've already have seen and has been in the game for many years now, I think 5 to be exact, and the same thing for Naruto's, but I'll go more in detail about that later. Now about this tail beast transformation, this is probably the most confusing one for me right now. As far as like aesthetically or just in appearance, I'm not really with the whole slug and slime thing. He just looks like fat and like really disgusting. I know that's kind of chickish, but that's how I really feel about it. But I was willing to give him a try, right? I purchased the tail beast transformation to see exactly how it was, but it was just kind of confusing when it came down to using it, because I wasn't sure if it was the multiple, small to mid-sized bubbles along with the big bubble blast that did damage, or just the big bubble blast itself. So it seems like it was more so of a close range attack rather than being like a distant beam type of thing, or a large, bubble of a blast that goes out and causes damage at a range. For a range type, it seemed to kind of contradict that. So it seemed like it was more so for an attack type than it was for a range, but that was just my experience with it. So for this jutsu, it was like a hit or miss. In a crowd of people, I could do damage but wouldn't necessarily kill anyone, and the damage wouldn't really be significant enough for my team to finish him off like it would be for Shikaku's, right? So this one kind of left me with like mixed reviews. I still think it's dope that they have the six-tailed beast transformation in the game. I'm loving the fact that they're adding them in there, whether they're just regular jutsus or their ultimates. I think that that's a good look all around. Now, continuing where I left off pertaining to why I didn't go into detail or add the 8-tailed beast transformation or the 9-tailed fox transformation, is for the simple fact that the 8-tails does not get a proper beast transformation. He gets a cloak, sort of kind of how Naruto gets the 1-tailed cloak from Kid Naruto. Not really worth adding. And plus, on top of that, I think the cloak transformation from Killer B is garbage, right? You get nothing really of a buff that really should be there as far as a 9-tailed cloak or a 9-tailed beast transformation. And pertaining to Naruto's, his is different as well. I think his transformations are better in general and on a completely different tier than these beast transformations. That's why I left his apart in the side, not to include him in this conversation of debate. All right, so now that we've covered that, there's only two tailed beasts that remain: the four tailed beast and the five tailed beast. And the one that I'm most excited about is the four tails. I love the whole gorilla, monkey, octopus tail kind of thing. We never really got to see him shine in the series like many of the other tail beasts. So this one would be very interesting to see how they put him in the game and what skills are added to him for us to be able to execute. I'm not really sure what the five-tailed beast skill set is or what nature, if any, element it actually has. So that'd be an interesting one to see as well. It might be some type of like charge by being like a horse type of style, but that's just my guess. So those are the only two that we're missing. I'm very interested to see these two added into the game. And even more so than that, man, that Killer Bee actually gets an actual beast transformation. For some reason, I think that there are certain characters that are ignored or targeted, if you will, when it comes down to like Killer Bee, Darai, or Wakage. There's just certain ones that aren't really added in and really given the respect as other characters, and that's a problem for me because they should be on an equal level to get that same type of love that the other characters get as well. So with that being said, that brings me to the end of this video. Down in the comment section below, man, let me know what tail beast was your favorite, which ones you liked, which ones you didn't like, what moves you thought were good, what could be improved, nerf, buff, whatever it may be, man. Let's go ahead and chop it up. And with that being said, it's your boy, oh no, not another reviewer, and I'm out.